Alright, no intro as always. Today we're discussing which 40k faction has the best royal guard, or basically a bodyguard force. Factions used will be Custodians for the Imperium, Incubus for the Dark Eldar, Lich Guard for the Necrons, Nobs for the Orcs, Ethereal Guard for the Tau, and finally Tyrant Guard for the Nids. We shall be ranking them based upon their power and ability to adequately perform their duty, aka protect the person of importance. But before we do that, more than 95% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you enjoyed this one, remember to click the like and subscribe button. Okay, enough shilling, let's just get into it. Let's start off with the Imperium's monetary black holes, the Custodians. They are by far the most expensive force to create on this list, but they do make up for it with their abilities. Each Custodian is said to be able to take on 3 or 4 Astartes at the same time and more often than not come out on top. And drinking Space Marine tears isn't the only thing they are good at, because I'm pretty sure that at the start of Era Indomitus, less than a dozen Custodians crash landed on the planet that was gonna be invaded by an entire Tyrannid Splinter fleet. And yeah, Tyrannid Splinter fleet didn't stand a chance because all of the ground invasion forces got wrecked by, again, I repeat, less than a dozen Custodians. Now, admittedly, this doesn't make much sense, because even if one Custodian is equal to 10 Space Marines, Tyrannids do have creatures that are at or even above the power of the regular Space Marine. For example, the Tyrant Guard, who we'll get to later on. So answering why they didn't just make 100 of those to deal with Custodians instead of sending waves upon waves of shitter termagants is beyond me. Or, you know, they could have also just bombarded them with acid from all orbit using their bioships. Regardless, Custodians also need next to no sleep, because they can, just like the Astartes, shut half of their brain down whilst keeping the other half operational and basically fight 24/7. Their armor is also said to be next to impenetrable, which in 40k means that an unarmed Khorne berserker can punch straight through it. No, I'm not joking, that actually happened during the Siege of Terra. So it's a good thing that they can take quite a bit of punishment. They can live through half of their brain missing, one lung shutting down, most of their bones being broken, huge blood loss, partially destroyed heart, amongst many others. This is all because each Custodian is a piece of art, being masterfully gene sculpted from birth to have such efficient organs that it feels like magic. Which, this is 40k, there probably is also some war fuckery involved. Okay, next up are the emo BDSM group calling themselves the Dark Eldar, represented by the Incubus. Incubus are the elites of Dark Eldar society. They are commonly used as a bodyguard force by, of course, those that can afford them. To become an Incubus, one must kill an Eldar aspect warrior and take their soul stone, break it and mold it into their own, which is not an easy feat, specifically the former thing of killing an Eldar aspect warrior. Aspect warriors are said to be equal or even slightly above a regular Space Marine, so killing them will be a challenge to say the least. Their armor is also said to be equal to that of the Astartes in protection, whilst giving greater flexibility. In normal speak, that means that they are glass cannons that are only immune to guardsmen and maybe orc boys. Their only real major downside is that they rely heavily on close range weapons, so whilst protecting someone they would first have to go away from them in order to deal with the threat before turning back. Next up are the Pakistanis. Sorry, I meant to say the British, represented by the Nobs. Now, orcs don't really have a royal guard in a traditional sense. These Nobs are just random orc warlords that the boss grew a particular interest towards, and decided to invite into his friend group that gets the best loot and vehicles alongside going into the most fun parts of the battlefield. All they gotta do in return is to have fun and serve as meat shields between the boss and anyone looking to get rid of the boss. As they have the best loot and weapons, it's said that they can match even Space Marines in an open engagement. And that statement is a bit misleading, because a match and win are two different things. Yes, they can stall Space Marines, but 90% of the time they're still gonna lose. Their armor is usually just a ton of literal scrap sheet metal bolted onto an improvised power armor. So in extreme cases it can stop bolter fire, but you shouldn't bet your life on it. There are million-and-one factors that go into that calculation, and sheet metal's rust is one of them. Their guns are also comparable to bolters, if not slightly weaker, but they are much less accurate. If a Space Marine bolt gun is a 1911, then Orc Shuta is a pipe shotgun. Next up are the Terminators, also known as the Necrons, with their Lich Guard. And fun fact, the first time I was reading about them, I kept reading them as a Lynch Guard. Damn, didn't know that Necrons were the Space Confederates. Anyway, Lich Guards serve as a bodyguard and messenger force of the nobility. They have a much more intact intelligence processors than regular warriors, and as such, their actions in combat are much harder to predict. As machines, they also never tire, so the longer the combat lasts, the higher the odds of victory. So just like the Custodians, they can be on the defensive, figure out the enemy's movements and attack pattern, and then when the time is right, deliver the killing blow. They are also built with the best quality liquid metal that the Necrons possess, so even putting one down is only a temporary solution, because the Lich Guard will come back. They always come back. Just like the Incubi, they mostly rely on short-range weaponry, but no armor on this list can actually protect you from their deatomizing blades. Unlike Incubi, they also carry shields that are next to invulnerable. You would need extended, prolonged bolter fire to render them operationally inadequate. Next up are the Nids, aka Bugs. They are represented by the Tyrant Guard. You know what these guys remind me of? Of those roly-polies that you would find under bricks or old rotting wood. I really wonder what happened to them. I don't see them much nowadays. Regardless, these roly-polies are made from the genes collected from fallen Space Marines. They do even look like what would happen if you took a normal Termagant, pumped him full of steroids, aka Gensid, and told him to hit the gym. They serve as bodyguard force to Synapse creatures, which is why they are so armored up. Synapse creatures are usually really hard to hide, so the best next thing is just putting a lot of meat and keratin in between them and the incoming fire. They can for a time resist artillery shells, tank fire, bolt gun fire, las fire, and so much more. With this being said, they do lack any ranged weaponry, any maneuverability and speed. As such, they don't quite suck in melee combat, but although they are 2 times the size of an average Space Marine, an average Space Marine can still more often than not take them down. Not least due to them lacking any ranged weaponry and still having portions of their body not protected by keratin. Next up are the anime convention goers, aka the Tau. They are represented by the Ethereal Guard. And I'm gonna be honest, even though I'm a Xeno hater through and through, I still feel bad for the Tau, because the fuck were the writers consuming when they were brainstorming these guys? Were they using some pure Colombian, like what was going on in their head? The guys that protect the most important caste in the Tau society are equipped with Tau recon armor comparable to Guard 1 to 2 drones which can be downed with a single bolt gun round, and I shit you not, a staff, not even a ranged weapon. So do these staffs carry some arcane tech that can wipe out entire armies? No, but they do carry something far more devastating. A taser. That's it. How the fuck can anyone stand up to these guys? Competition are quaking in their boots right now. But for real now, they aren't actually meant to engage in combat. They mostly serve as a secret police unit. Now don't get me wrong, they are still gonna throw themselves at an assassin, but they are mostly doing that to buy the ethereal cast member time to escape, rather than thinking that they stand any chance of stopping an attacker. Okay, with that said, let's rank them from weakest to strongest. At number 6, to no one's surprise, are the Tau. Ethereal Guard are just literally normal Tau fire warriors with downgraded equipment. At number 5 are the Orcs. Nobs are powerful, but they just get outscaled in every field by everyone above them. At number 4 we have the Tyranids, and this is probably controversial, but although Tyrant Guard are way tougher than everyone else on this list, they can simply get outmaneuvered. They are also quite a bit dumber than everyone else above them, so I think it's fair that they get number 4 spot. Number 3 is also controversial, but I'm placing Incubi in here. Yes, they're probably more skilled than Necrons, but Necrons can stall and win the attritional fight, alongside repair any damage they sustain, while Steamo boys can say the same. And of course that means that the Necrons are at number 2 and the Custodians are at number 1. Custodians simply outscale them with speed, strength and even intelligence. But those are just my opinions. If you disagree or even agree, comment your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. Until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.